Nation in the Apple Cup takes a knee. The clock will do the rest.
It's only been 6+ months and we finally have a new Coug intro. I think that was the right one to do. What do you guys think?
Loving it.
Loving it.
Yeah, well, welcome back to another.
Monster.
Yeah. Welcome back to another Couch GM live episode with sponsored by CougFan.com. First off, make sure to check out CougFan.com. A lot of the topics we're going to cover, the information that we're going to be talking about is coming directly from them. They're the first to the action. So make sure to check them out. And if you are or someone you know is thinking of buying, selling, or refinancing on the West Coast, hit me up. I'm a mortgage guy. Dylan, how can they connect with you?
Yeah, so if you are going through Connor, you get that new home, you get that money, get that loan. Well, you're going to need to get a loan for some solar panels. If you need to check in on anything in terms of locking in an energy rate over the next 25 years, it's only going to go up. It goes up every single year. Come on, people, please lock it in. Let me know.
And Jackson, how can they get in touch with you?
I was going to say, I wish I had like a landscaping business that I could plug right here. But no, just gainfully employed by Fox Corp. You can see them right down there. And that's my plug.
Thanks for coming on for another week. We got some fun stuff to talk about.
So honestly, we're stoked to just, Jackson to be a part of the live show crew here gives us just another echo chamber that we need here, right? I'm kidding.
We love screaming in the echo chamber here.
So starting off, last week when we were live, they had just added, prior to that, they had added Ajani Sheppard, who is a quarterback transfer out of Rutgers. As we were live, it was breaking news that they also added an additional lefty transfer quarterback from Pittsburgh in Julian Duggar. So now that we're a week out of it, we have a bit more information on who these guys are, what to expect, kind of what's going on. Initial thoughts were, is Zevi not the guy? Everyone's freaking out like Ajani Sheppard. He looks like a dude. But now, as we've had some comments from Jimmy Rogers and get some context on it, it makes complete sense. And I'll just go through a couple quotes from Jimmy to start off and then get your guys' thoughts. First off, Jimmy said, "This isn't the YMCA. This is competitive sports." And again, this is an article from Jamie Vinnick on CougFan.com. Go check out that. A lot of great information. Jimmy went on to say that bringing in the players that we brought in, it was talent, not being able to pass up on the type of guys we feel they can be. But it's also just a really competitive position because once they perform, they leave, unfortunately. So it's a little bit thinking out ahead. But we believe in these quarterbacks. We believe in Zevi and Jaxon Potter. And there's going to be competition in the room. And I think that's best for everybody. If you want to come to a place and a spot to be given to you, don't come to Washington State. If you want to come into a place and compete and get better, come to Wazoo. Initial takeaways from that, I think it makes total sense. You got to have competition to bring everybody up. If no one's competing, if Zevi's the guy right out of the gate, then he's going to fall to whatever, his floor might be. But you bring in other guys to compete, that's just going to bring everybody to the top.
What I heard is that I don't think anyone doubted that there was a competition. We all knew it was a competition. The question is how big the competition actually is. And the quote from what Jamie wrote, that this is unprecedented number of quarterbacks that are competing for this job. And I'm like, really? Okay, yeah. So you held up 6 there. Are you? I mean, I'd be interested to ask both of you, like, how many quarterbacks do you think? Okay, you're at 4. I'm at 3. 3 debatably. I'm on the edge. I remember was it Renard Bell and Calvin Jackson said a lot of great things about Jaxon Potter. He was sort of the backup in spring camp. You bring in 2 running quarterbacks to compete with Zevi, who was already sort of, through the bowl game and then spring ball was sort of like, all right, here's the better of the passing quarterbacks. Does Jaxon Potter really fit into this? I mean, I no doubt he will get his shot, but
would he have already transferred?
No,
I think, yeah. Sorry about that, Dylan.
And the reason I bring this up is just the one interview we had with Jackson on the golf course. Like, he said straight, like, look, man, like I wasn't looking to leave this or that. He's a pro style quarterback coming out of Santa Margarita. And basically what he said was, I think this offense fits me. I don't think from an athletic standpoint, in terms of, he's not going to be the fastest guy on the field. I don't think we're counting on him to rush for 500 yards, let alone 300 yards. But I just think bringing in Sheppard and then obviously the lefty from Pittsburgh, I mean, these are two Division I P5 guys that could have probably found landing spots at similar situations to ours. And I think, like Jimmy said, this is not the YMCA. Like, we're here to win. And, you know, if that's going to be bringing in a couple quarterbacks to get the most out of a guy like Zevi, and even those guys that are competing, well, so be it. You know, I want the best guy on the field. But like you said last week, I want the best passer on the field first, you know, in terms of who's going to move the ball the best. And, you know, we're going to see quite a bit of scrimmages, you know, in fall camp. You know, it's going to be interesting to see over the last couple of weeks of fall camp who that 1 and 2 guy is. Because I think right now we're just trying to figure out who's really the guy that's going to give him the biggest competition.
Right. And I guess the thing that I'm sort of worried about is there a possibility of like a 2 quarterback system?
I'm going to keep saying Sam Darnold, Jalen Milroe. Like,
I'm just firmly in the camp. If you got more than 1 quarterback, you have no quarterbacks. Like, I just, you know, you become so one-dimensional when you start bringing in a quarterback to run. You start bringing in a quarterback for passing down. Like, I just, that does not sit well with me. But, like, I don't know. I haven't, like, willing to give Jimmy Rogers the benefit of the doubt. I just look at it as like, you brought in 2 very physical running quarterbacks. It seems sort of like big play type, you know, explosive play type
high
quarterbacks.
Upside.
Like, that doesn't tell me that, like, we're looking at like a firm pro style quarterback. You know, I don't know. I think this is probably more of a 3 quarterback race than we're willing to admit right now. But there's no reason for Jimmy Rogers to say it's a 3 quarterback race right now. Like, what's the point of that? You know, you can whittle it down, but I think in earnest, it's probably the 2 transfers in Zevi. And that's no shade to Jaxon Potter. I really do think it is just sort of archetype, you know, I think that Jimmy Rogers wants a quarterback who can move and, you know, can, you know, run a quarterback power. And that's really just not Jaxon Potter's skill set, I don't believe.
As we saw at SDSU, you know, Mark Gronowski, a guy that's a dual threat guy. Now he's going to be playing at Iowa this next year. But to get into a little bit of a profile of Ajani and also Duggar from the Cougs fan article, Sheppard is a tank-like 6'2", 233, but the consensus among Rutgers media this spring was clear. He was the best runner among the Scarlet Knights as quarterbacks. And then Rogers gave CougFan.com a bit of a background on Sheppard. Jimmy said he had limited snaps, but he's accurate and athletic, built like a linebacker. Jimmy Rogers, linebacker, of course. Smart, mature, and confident. 3 years of eligibility left. And then moving on to Duggar, he's 6'3", 210. Both these guys are 6'2", 6'3". Duggar spent one season at Pitt, saw extended play in a 48-46 bowl loss to Toledo. He passed 7 of 13 for 72 yards, but then he carried 21 times for 88 yards in that bowl game. And Rogers on Duggar states, athletic and showed flashes of being special. Did you see their bowl game? He's a lefty with a strong arm and was the top dual threat quarterback in the nation coming out of high school. 4 years of eligibility left. I mean, that sounds intriguing. I had no clue that he was the top dual threat quarterback in the nation coming out of high school, went to Pitt, was a backup, now transferring to WSU. And as Rogers alluded to in the first statement that he had, a quarterback is here for a year and then they're going to a big school. So it's like you got to load up with this QB room. One of those guys is going to pop and then they're gone. Hopefully one guy stays and then he could do the following year. You got a bunch of eligibility left.
Sure. And as far as far as it goes for Sheppard, we're just gonna have to take Jimmy's word for it that he's an accurate passer because he's thrown, I believe, 3 passes in college football. So I don't not calling Jimmy a liar. I'm just saying gonna have to take his word for it because we haven't seen it.
Yeah, honestly, like taking a look at just if I had to pick one guy who I would want to root for to battle against Zevi, it's Doug. I mean, strictly just because of we actually have one game tape. Granted, it's a bowl game against Tulsa, but those are some interesting aspects about Duggar, and also, hey, southpaw, a little different because now your blind side's not right tackle, right? It's left tackle.
That's all we have from Zevi is one bowl game, right?
That's true.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, we have absolutely no tape on any of these guys. Like what the tape that we are working off of. You could perhaps put an asterisk next to it.
Yeah, so we'll keep you posted as we hear more about the quarterback situation as it plays on. And then you guys had some other notable transfers that have been joining the Palouse.
Yeah, I mean, one of them obviously is the new offensive tackle that they got from a Division II. And one thing that kind of jumps off, I mean, this guy's a gigantor. I mean, he's huge. Jalen Caldwell had a Tennessee offer, a Missouri offer, a few other big time SEC schools. And it just goes into, okay, hey, you're bringing in a guy that you're hopefully going to have start on the offensive line next to Brock as well as Hilborn, and we'll get in Jackson to a little bit more of a overarching aspect of what the entirety of the O-line looks like going forward. But for the staff and Coach Rogers, it seems like this addition was a big time one in terms of bringing in Jalen Caldwell. And yeah, hey, granted, we don't know what that jump's going to look like for him, but the whole aspect of seeing this guy with some SEC offers, especially with the new scholarship counts, in college football, it's a good thing.
Yeah, totally. Seeing that he had some big time offers was definitely promising. And again, we haven't really seen this guy, so you naturally your eyes sort of light up. Oh my God, 6'7", 6'6", like 320, 330. I mean, yeah, it's reported differently on virtually every different site you go to. But it's always about, okay, well, how well does he move? Like, he's a big man, sure. It's always movement plus size, like it's not just size or movement. It's got to be both. So, hopefully, because he was getting some of those bigger time offers, that means the big man can move. That's the hope. But I don't know much about him. What I wanted to talk about a little bit more was sort of the more generally with WSU's offensive line, and I was looking back at SDSU and Jimmy Rogers' old teams and how many offensive linemen they were using each season, and to give us an idea of potentially how many serviceable offensive linemen might needed. And when I was looking back last year, and I will say, just full disclosure, this information is according to ChatGPT, so there might be some inaccuracies there. But I just for to speed up the process. So in 2024, there were 9 different offensive linemen used, and that was due to injuries and moving pieces. Trying to replace starters. But they had 9 offensive linemen that got used. The year before that, it was 7. And the year before that, it was 6. So, what does that say for what's potentially coming into for what that means for WSU's offensive line, who is returning 2 starters? That could potentially mean that they need a lot of different guys playing and playing meaningful snaps on the offensive line for WSU. And there's just so many names that we've never even heard of. That are in the offensive line room right now.
And we did talk with Dylan, you're muted, but we did talk with Kyle Martin on the golf course and kind of hear behind the scenes of like what's the difference between blocking with the old offensive scheme, the air raid versus the new pro style. And he basically said it's just blocking, like the offensive line to them. they're doing the same stuff for the most part. It's like they're just putting hands on people, so we'll just have to see, and how many of the offensive linemen, as you mentioned, they'll have to go through.
Yeah,
Dylan, what
that
were
might
you
be.
saying?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
sorry, Dylan.
Yeah, I think a guy that I've got kind of circled, a young guy that could be a swing tackle spot is Ashton Tripp. It's going to be exciting to see what he does. A guy like Kyle Martin, I feel like those are going to be your two guys that, Martin can play center. Maybe he can also fill in, play guard, if there's some injuries throughout the season. Can Tripp play both tackle spots? Because with what Jackson's saying is, okay, well, 6 3 years ago, 7 offensive linemen 2 years ago, and 9 a season ago. Well, it seems like when they have like their 6 or 7 guys, that's what they want to roll with. Just like every team, you don't want to have a lot of movement on the offensive line throughout the season or preseason. That's just kind of barking up the wrong road there, but. It's going to be interesting to see who becomes these swing players on the line and the depth pieces going forward. Because like we said, this is also still year one. I think, the coaching staff's not going to tell you this. They're going to want them to make a bowl game and win 6+ games. But they do have this just year of, wow, we're playing 9 different conferences this season with the schedule. We're still a year out from the Pac-12. So this is a bit of a season to kind of get that program in the right direction where, year one in 2026, you can compete with Boise State for the automatic bid.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah. And, like I guess kind of moving into the schedule talk, you sent a tweet last night that someone stated PSC highlights tweeted out, Washington State has the weirdest college football schedule I've ever seen this upcoming season. I mean, is it not just very similar to an independent schedule like a BYU or like what?
Okay, but so one would think that, right? And I went and looked. I was like, okay, so like let's go look at UConn. Let's go look at UMass. Like let's go try and check out some of the indie schedules. And I'm looking at UConn's only playing against 7 different conferences. And it's funny, we were talking about WSU schedule last week, and it really hadn't even occurred to me truly how bizarre this schedule is until I saw that tweet and everyone else was noticing it. But I mean, you go Big Sky, Mountain West, and then that would be, what are they? That's
AAC.
MAC? AAC. Okay, AAC. Big Ten, Mountain West, SEC, ACC, and then that's MAC, I believe, and then Pac-12.
That is MAC.
And then CUSA, I think, Louisiana Tech, and then back to AAC, Sunbelt. Like, it is a
they're hopping around everywhere.
Absolutely wild ride.
Yeah, and if you would have told me that Washington, if you would have told me Washington State's going at James Madison 5-6 years ago, I'd have been like, what? They weren't even Division I 5 or 6 seasons ago. And obviously that's where Coach Sig came from, folks. If you're not familiar with Coach Signetti, the new Indiana head coach, he turned around that James Madison program and pretty much brought like 30 of his players with him last year. And you saw what Indiana ended up doing. They ended up making the playoffs. It's interesting. It's kind of a little bit of a similar aspect with us as well as Indiana in terms of, hey, we've got a new head coach bringing their entire staff as well as, a good amount of their players, over 15, 20 SCSU guys. And, there's still some cool things about playing Idaho. You stay on the Palouse. Now you've got Mike Iupati on the coaching staff at WSU. He was an All-American at Idaho and perhaps their greatest offensive lineman ever to come out of that university. And then you get the return game with San Diego State as, that was a fantastic game last year. And then you go at North Texas. And, the interesting thing about North Texas, and I'll let you guys, one of you two take the next 3 games. North Texas could possibly be a school that you add, into the Pac-12. They're not the sexiest school by any means, but they've had their name come out. They put decent money into their football program. They have a pretty good basketball program as well. Really Memphis's only shot at a top 100 net game in the AAC. So Memphis, come on down to the Pac-12. We've got 6 of those for you each season. And then, someone take us away into the Apple Cup.
Yeah, and starting game 4, game 4, you got the Apple Cup with Washington coming over to Pullman, a home game in Pullman. And then you got at Colorado State, which is going to be a future Pac-12 matchup. You have a bye the week of October 4th. And then you go at Ole Miss, SEC country. I'm excited. It's like, just kind of before we talk about the rest of the schedule, Jimmy Rogers is talking about, this team is not coming over here to lose. They were winners at South Dakota. They are wanting to win, and they're wanting to do big things here. And it's all talk right now, but let's see if they can put it into practice.
For sure, yeah. And then I guess so we go at Virginia, and then to Toledo, and then you start the first of the 2-game tie with Oregon State, at Oregon State, bye, then to Louisiana Tech, and then you have the away game at James Madison, and then you finish with Oregon State at home. The weirdest part about this schedule is the at North Texas and at James Madison. Like, that is a sobering, like, all right, this is kind of where we are. And I know it's just the 2-year period until you get the Pac-12, the new Pac-12, and then it'll normalize a little bit more. But, well, Max Gross, I don't care why people are hating on the weird schedule. It's super fun. I agree, it's super fun. It is super fun, but it is sort of like a reality check of where we are. And I guess I wanted to also bring up Oregon State's schedule as well, because the one thing that you notice with Oregon State's schedule versus our schedule is I see 5 Power 4 opponents on that schedule versus our 3. And I'm curious if you guys read into that at all. And they get their away game at, they're going to Boone, North Carolina to play Appalachian State. So it's not apples and oranges different, but I'm curious, do you guys read into anything OSU getting those 5 Power 4 opponents while we're only getting 3?
Yeah, so they're home versus Cal, then they got Fresno State at home, then they're at Texas Tech, at Oregon. They've got Houston at home, at Appalachian State, a bye, then home games, 4 weeks in a row home games, Lafayette, Wake Forest, then Washington State, same Houston, and then at Tulsa, another bye, and then at Washington State to finish it off. I'm not going to read into it too much, to be honest. It's like, this is the final year of what's going on right now between the Pac-2, and I feel like, I don't know how much this was planned to like parade your team around the entire country, like what we're trying to show off, or and with Oregon State, they've got a few tough matchups at Texas Tech, at Oregon. I'm not really reading
against Wake
I'm going to love that Wake Forest game, against Oregon State.
I think,
sorry. Go ahead, Jackson. No, go ahead.
No. I was just going to say, to me, what struck to me was, I think the difference in schedules is the difference between Scott Barnes' Rolodex and McCoy's. That's the main difference. And that's no shot at Ann McCoy. That's literally just the years of experience. And Scott Barnes, it's Scott Barnes, right? I'm getting that name right. I'm sorry.
Yes, it's Scott Barnes.
Yeah. What he does for Oregon State is truly, I think, I don't think anyone doesn't give him enough credit, but he really, I feel like, carries that athletic department, and has for a long time, and is such a good ally to have. And I do not want to get into Kirk Schultz talk, but part of the reason why I enjoyed Kirk Schultz is because you knew he was so well connected. And sometimes, whether you agree or disagree with someone, just having friends that are well connected will get you a very long way in life. And someone, who can call someone across the country, who knows people in high places, those are the people you want on your team. And that's what I looked at those 2 schedules, is that's just one person who knows a lot more people than the other.
I guess the side thing I would take off of that is that Scott Barnes and Oregon State, ever since 2023 started and 2022 started with this, they have said that they are going to still function at a P4 level, spend at a P4 level, and try and put their name at a P4 level. And you play at Oregon, at Texas Tech, you've got Wake Forest. They're trying to play as many P4 teams as possible this season to continue, the great offseason that they've had. I mean, they have brought in some significant players. I mean, they went out and got Malik Murphy from Duke.
Yeah,
I mean,
I'm
that's
jealous.
a big, that's
I'm
huge.
jealous.
I mean,
Yeah,
they've got some money in that NIL over there at Oregon State, and they're still ahead of where we need to be as a university. Obviously, we're a death by 1,000 paper cuts, I should say. But yeah, I mean, that's just essentially what it tells me. I think our 2 games are tougher than theirs, though. When you go at Ole Miss, and then UW's at home, but maybe it's a wash. Oregon's damn good, but we don't know what we're going to see at their quarterback position. But still, 2 marquee games for each school. And then obviously, you have the home and home. So I guess we can consider Oregon State with 2 games being another P4 game, right? So we each add 1 more.
If you want to call it that, then yeah, for sure. in our heads.
Yeah, I don't know about you guys, but I mean, I'm just excited to see something different. It's going to be completely different across the board, like new teams that we're playing, completely new offense, new defense, just everything is completely. We'll have to just see what happens.
It's going to be a super fun year. I entirely agree with your sentiment, Max, that this is a super fun schedule. But the reason I feel like we're talking about it now is because it is so bizarre, and we hadn't really talked about truly how bizarre it was, until
Can't
now.
wait for the OSU Wake Forest game out of the wazoo. Same here. I'm sure there's going to be a good amount of people
I'm gonna have to travel down for that.
In the greater Portland area, the greater Seattle area that are probably going to maybe travel down for that. And that just goes to show you the vitriol. There's
going to be a lot of crimson in that stadium.
Handicap that game. What's the spread on that game? It's at Oregon State.
Yeah.
Oregon State's probably 2.5-point favorites. I mean, Malik Murphy, some of the O linemen that they've got. I mean, I think Oregon State's going to be a good team. They're going to be a tough out next season. You got to play them twice. Going to be a wild year grasping the gridiron. Yes, sir. It is going to be one. For folks that are out there commenting right now, if you have some money and you're in Las Vegas and WSU's win total is 6.5, are we going over or are we going under?
Are you reporting this that is the actual line, or is this a
Dylan's
line
setting the line?
You're the
you can reach out
directly
directly to Dylan for the Dylan line. Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. 6.5.
6.5. Let's take a look. Okay. I got two straight W's.
Okay.
Would you have 3 straight W's?
First road game. I don't know. That smells stinky. Dylan, it's what we call a rat line in this business.
Yeah. Let's do the exercise. Go down the schedule, and what's your path to 7 wins?
Okay. My path to 7 wins is you take care of the first 3 games. And then out of the next 3, you got to win 1. So you leave the first 6 games of the season. You're 4-2, and then you still have 3 road games. So you're at Virginia, Toledo, Oregon State, Louisiana Tech. I think we take care of La Tech and Toledo at home. There's 5 wins.
That would get you. That would be at your 6. No. Yeah. So Dylan had.
Yeah. Go for it.
Did we lose? Yeah. Okay. So Dylan had.
Yeah. Dylan cut out.
Idaho, San Diego State, one of the 3 first 3, Idaho, San Diego State, North Texas, one of Washington, Colorado State, Mississippi. And then you look at those last 5, and then you would need 2 more to get to 6, 3 more to get to 7. So he said Toledo, Louisiana Tech. And then that means
I think you take one of the Oregon State games.
You got to split with the Oregon State. And are we really chalking up James Madison on the road as an L?
I mean, I just don't know anything about James Madison, to be honest. And are they like way up on the East Coast? I mean, those travel games, you never know.
Yeah. That is funny. I could actually not tell you where James Madison is located if you asked me to point it out on a map.
Let me look that up right now.
Yeah. I see. I would love to take my hand at going through the gauntlet here.
James
Is it
Madison,
7
yeah,
wins?
Harrisburg, Virginia.
Harrisburg, Virginia. Okay, so we have 2 trips to Virginia this year. Here, I want to pull up. Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna take a shot at this. And
Okay.
I'm straight up, I'm gonna be calling it out. I'm gonna go win against Idaho State, win against San Diego State, win against North Texas. We're 3-0. I think we win an emotional Apple Cup at home.
Thank you. That's the right answer.
We lose. Then we lose to Colorado State.
I could totally see that.
Hangover
Yeah.
away in Fort Collins. By Mississippi, I think we lose that in Oxford, so that puts us at 4-2. At Virginia, that could be a get right game on the road as well. The back-to-back road games concerns me.
Right.
But I'm going to say we win that one. So that brings us to 5-2. Toledo makes us 6-2. Oregon State lose. And then here's where I think we kind of do what we have done for the past few seasons and we sort of slide off here. I think we lose.
The rumors start going throughout the locker room.
Yeah. I think there's a potential that we lose the last 3, which would put us
lose all of the last 3, including Oregon State at home.
That sounds so bad just saying it out loud, but I think it's possible. And just trying to follow sort of what has been happening, particularly with a brand new roster. And we were talking about this last week of just, sometimes when you don't have a really complete roster, you struggle on the back end of the schedule. So I do see, I think Dylan was right. I think like 6.5 wins right around there is probably where that line ends up being. Maybe 5.5, maybe 6.5. I don't know. But I think 7 wins is certainly a success in my book. I'm curious what would be considered success for you and what would be failure for you?
Yeah,
total wins.
It has to be over 500 for sure. Is my standpoint. If we get over that and like going back through this, yeah, I would say we take Idaho, we take San Diego State. I say we win those first 4, take the Apple Cup,
right?
In Pullman. Like you mentioned, Colorado State has been a solid team for years, and going at Colorado State right after the Apple Cup, that might be the letdown game to where it's 4-1. Then you got to bye at Ole Miss. I mean, that's going to be fun to see. I hope they don't absolutely throttle us. But of course, yeah, I'm going to say we take the loss at Ole Miss. At Virginia, I think we would lose. And then, yeah, take Toledo and take Louisiana Tech, like Dylan mentioned. I think, yeah, if we split Oregon State and then James Madison is a toss-up. So, I mean, a win for me, it's like, what is considered a win? I mean, at the very least, you have to be over 500 at the very least. Mm-hmm. I see a path to 7-8 wins potentially.
Yeah. And I think you could definitely define success a couple of different ways. Like if you got an Apple Cup win, then I think the the appetite for or the palatability of 4 and 8 is suddenly that softens the blow. But a potential win in the Apple Cup and then Ole Miss, like if you get those wins, but you fall off on the back end, like I think that offers you a little bit of grace in at least my equation of grading out the season.
If there's a 4-8, 5-7 season, I think that's a lot more negative. Just because,
certainly.
Yeah. I mean, like if that does happen, then it's like we might be in for it because it's a completely new scheme, new coaching staff. They brought in their entire system. We have what we have to work with. I mean, every other university in the country is dealing with the whole transfer portal and different personnel and everything. I'm an optimist, of course. So I just feel like what they're bringing in
as we all are.
They had success. They're going to be successful with what they're bringing in. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah. We all should be optimistic. I think there's plenty of reason to be optimistic, but I think if you look at it you try and remove the names and your loyalties and stuff. If you just look at it as a team with massive roster overturn, first year head coach, with sort of his biggest job to date, you could understand how that would take a transition year before that really takes off. So, again, Jimmy Rogers will learn quickly that if you can win the Apple Cup, there is a tremendous amount of grace that will be extended to you. So I don't think as tough as it would be to swallow, I don't think a 4-8 season is a disaster or a 5-7 season a disaster. It's certainly not fun. No one's enjoying watching a losing football team, but it's not a disaster. Like it could be worse. And I think we've been so spoiled for at least the last decade that we forget how bad it can truly get. So we're always like, don't ever let it get back to those days, the true dark days. We're always that's always in the back of everyone's mind of trying to prevent that from happening. But I don't think one season sort of as that could be looked at as a transition year means it's back to the dark ages for WSU.
Yeah, I get that. And it definitely matters how the losses look. Like if they're losing last drive touchdown type thing, or if they're getting throttled in, there's a lot bigger issues. But like Max says here, like making a bowl game is the goal. Getting over 6 wins is going to be the goal. Anything above that is going to be, icing on top.
Yeah. Couldn't agree more with that. First year, just get to 6 wins, call it good.
So Dylan is dealing with some technical issues, but he's going to work on getting back here. I'm going to play a question he had on Ed Easton, who is a reporter for who covers the Chiefs, asking about. He had an interview that we're going to be putting live on YouTube, which is asking about a lot of the different WSU former athletes that are now Kansas City Chiefs. But this question specifically is asking about Gardner Minshew.
And then last one for you. Have you guys had any media availability with Gardner Minshew yet? Any first, impressions of what the veteran's going to do here?
Well, he gave a media availability shortly after he signed. And he was very optimistic, excited for his opportunity to work with Patrick, work with Andy Reid. He seems like, you love the energy he brings. I think any other guy you bring in, knowing that you're going to be the backup to Patrick Mahomes, who is the franchise quarterback, would probably feel a little less excited knowing that they may not see the playing time. But I think he's a guy that's willing to work in practice, willing to make the team better. He's just shown a great attitude. He's got praised by Andy Reid recently during his media availability. So he's already doing all the right things, and Mahomes I think they've already connected. So it's definitely a guy that I feel like will make an impact on this team, whether it's on the field or in practice. So those things do matter.
Minshew drives his van into town, into Kansas City, and it sounds like the good vibes are already there. Some praise from Andy Reid, some praise from, sounds like, things are going to go well with Patrick Mahomes. And I don't know if you could have a, less stressful backup in the NFL than Gardner Minshew.
Right. And it sounds like Gardner is in the point of his career where he is kind of like professional vibes guy. Like we're showing up. We know it's a backup role now. Like I don't know how many more starting jobs he's going to be competing for. Love him to death, but he can, in the same way that a lot of backup quarterbacks can exist in the league for a really long time by pretty much just being a great guy, just a great hang to steal from Bill Simmons. Like that could be Gardner. And there's nothing wrong with that. Like that's a great, what an Oscar to have a 10-year NFL career as a potential backup because you're just an awesome hang. Like, yeah, right there. Like, I think this is awesome for Gardner, even if it means he has to sit behind the best quarterback we've ever seen with pretty much no shot of playing unless the walls are on fire at Arrowhead.
You see it towards the end of the year, Patrick Mahomes, he's like limping like every play. So at some point, Patrick might have a year to where he's out for a few games and Gardner gets the shot to step in. But
maybe, but like you can only imagine the feeling in Kansas City if if Pat Mahomes is
Oh,
going
yeah.
down for a considerable amount of time and Gardner Minshew is coming in, the tenor is very different. Gardner is great getting to be the fun sort of esoteric backup, like that's great. But then when you put him in the starting role, all these fans are now just like, oh my God, we just went from the greatest quarterback of all time now to, to Gardner Minshew.
To the vibes
awesome
guy.
dude.
Yeah.
To the
The
vibes
most
guy.
fun
Right.
quarterback of all time.
Very true. Very true.
He's there to slap a mustache on Mahomes after, the post game.
Yeah. But I'm excited for him that he has like continued to carve out a spot for himself in the NFL, despite, again, not a talent evaluator, not a quarterback evaluator. I don't know what a lot of the underlying metrics really say about Gardner Minshew, but when you start talking about, or like the Mina Kimes, the Ben Solaks, they really look down upon Gardner Minshew. Like, they're pretty harsh on the dude. But to see him continue to stick around, continue to find work, like that says a lot about the kind of guy he is, because it shows all those coaches still look at those numbers. They're looking at the same thing that Mina Kimes and all those people are looking at who are giving Gardner a hard time, and you could say rightfully so. But he still finds work. And that's kind of what what makes Gardner a really unique individual, that he can continue to do that.
He's also found work.
Yeah.
He's made nearly $22.5 million since he's entered the NFL. So it's been get the Cougar Collective on line one here. While you're at it,
right.
get Clay Thompson on the line. Let's make him our GM in basketball.
And because that also shows you, yeah,
totally. Why has that not happened yet? We need to get Clay as take the assistant GM role.
Shaq's the GM at Sacramento State. I mean, come on, what are we doing here? I'm hoping this is a good time to segue into our new signee, prep signee for WSU Cougar basketball, Aaron Glass. Big time addition. I don't know if Connor has the photo for him. Okay, no.
That's no. Give us the full rundown, Dylan, because I don't even know who this is. So
Aaron Glass, he is a prep player, and right now he's our fourth American-born player on the roster. This addition puts the roster count, I believe, at 11. And this is a guy that's 6'2". He's out of Rancho Cucamonga down here in Southern California. That's where Darren Collison came out of. A little bit of a hotbed down here in SoCal. And like we say in football, you got to be able to recruit the state of California in basketball as well. This is a guy that was committed to Buzz Williams at Texas A&M. Buzz Williams does the typical Buzz Williams, where he's one of my favorite coaches. He goes somewhere for 6 or 7 years, and his whole philosophy is this. Yeah, I came to Marquette, took it over, turned it around. His next job, Virginia Tech, 6-7 years, turned it around. Texas A&M, 5-6 years. All right, made some turns, turned it around. Now I'm going to Maryland. This is a guy that knows, hey, this fan base is not going to remember where their program was at when I came in. They're going to get a little bit bored with the Sweet 16s and the NCAA tournament appearances. So I'm going to bolt town before they get old of me. And that's what he's doing at Maryland. He brings in Isaiah Watts. Maybe there's no room for Aaron Glass now. So maybe Isaiah Watts threw us a bone unknowingly. So this is also a guy that had quite a bit of traction at the prep level. Kyle Smith and Stanford sent him an offer. Arizona State, California, McNeese, probably when Will Wade was there, New Mexico, UW as well offered. So this is a guy that had quite a bit of interest, and he's going to come to WSU, and you're hoping that he could be a 2-year guy or a 3-year guy out of prep. But it's going to be interesting to see how the rest of this roster turns out. We're now at 11. This is another guard. You add him to Parker Garrett's, Jerome Morton, Richard Favors. You know, I guess you can put Thrasterson in that guard forward combo. He can play either position if it's the 2 or the 3, but just the makings. Need another ball handler. Where's this second point guard coming from? But liking what I'm seeing, you know, another young guy to come in at the prep level and put in some time over the next couple of years.
And I saw a clip of Cedric Coward at the NBA combine stuff or practices.
Yeah.
Can you walk
NBA
us?
combine.
Yeah. So is he officially entering the NBA draft? So he's no longer eligible for NCAA, or when does that decision have to be made?
Yeah, so all these guys that are in the combine have a date that they would have to pull back on. And, you know, Jackson, I don't know if you want to take a quick Google search on that, or one of you guys. Yeah. I know it's, you know, shortly. So you have the NBA draft at the end of June. I want to say it's a couple weeks before that draft kicks off. So, you know, right now, the biggest thing that's coming out of the combine is Cedric Coward. This is a guy, you know, that had a second round grade coming into this season. Obviously only played 6 games, but got completely healthy and ready to go for this NBA draft combine. He shot the ball extremely well. And, you know, NBA guy, Kevin O'Connor's, a couple other NBA draft gurus have said this is the guy that has easily taken the biggest step. And that's what Washington State fans want to hear. You want to have Cedric Coward get that first round grade where it's like, okay, I'm making $2.5 to $4.5 million. Duke, see you later. I'm going to stay in the NBA. And from everything Cedric has said since the end of the season, since he got injured, it's NBA, NBA, NBA number 1. And it's a similar trajectory to Jalen Wells in terms of Jalen Wells last year. You know, obviously entered the transfer portal, but also, you know, entered the draft combine and really ran away with the Grizzlies, ends up being the 39th overall pick. And yeah, I don't think the NBA Rookie of the Year has been announced yet, but he's definitely a guy that's going to be either 2, 3, arguably should be the Rookie of the Year in my opinion.
He was a finalist, didn't Stephen Castle, I believe, won.
Stephen Castle won.
Yeah. But so Coward has till June 15th to withdraw from the NBA draft. So pretty much 1 month from now, we will know whether he's in or whether he's out and going to Duke.
It'd be nice to see Cedric Coward drafted by whoever from Washington State University. That'd be a big time deal for the coaching.
You know what's funny about that though, and I know obviously it would be really nice to see, you know, at the NBA draft, Cedric Coward drafted by, you know, out of Washington State University. But now with the transfer portal, we really get, you know, feel some type of way about Cam Ward. Oh, you know, he's wearing the University of Miami pin. Like there's no acknowledgement of WSU, even though he played 2 seasons at WSU and only 1 season at Miami. Like, do we feel great that Cedric Coward would get that big WSU and he played 6 games for, you know, like again, it's all about marketing, like just seeing that WSU logo next to players. Like that's really what it's about. And I understand all of that, but I think that's how ridiculous all of it is too, is like, you know, we're just in a completely new era where like the college next to the the professional player just doesn't mean as much as what it used to mean. But we're still obviously in the transition period where it still feels like to us we want to see that WSU logo next to our player. And it does have meaning for, you know, brand value, but
yeah, because then you could say, hey, 3 NBA guys went to Washington State,
right.
3 MLB guys went to Washington State, like what, 10 plus guys in the NFL currently went to Washington State. So then those recruiting pitches just get that much easier because you have current talent that are playing that are like, hey, he was wearing a WSU jersey.
Totally. But it's just like the true, what I'm trying to get to the point is the true significance of what it actually means to have Cedric Coward out of Washington State, you know, whatever pick he goes. Like it's silly, but I understand why we do the song and dance.
Once Dylan gets his mic connected, he has one other thing to say. You're muted right now.
Muted. Tech guru Dylan on the case.
Never a doubt.
Can you
There
guys
we go.
hear me?
There we go.
God,
Gotcha.
I'm so sorry, guys. This has not been my best morning. Got the computer dying on me, this and that. Couldn't
All good.
get
brother.
back into the camera. I'm just like in the waiting room, just like, yeah.
Did you have anything else you wanted to add?
Yeah.
No, I mean, in terms of just the basketball side of things, good to see another prep in. I'm guessing you guys already played the Gardner Minshew soundbite. So
I did.
that was nice talking to Ed
Fill a
Easton
gap.
Jr. Hey,
Yeah.
guys, I'm going to plug it again. Please go to Connor's YouTube channel. It's also going to be up on Coug Fan here today. Our talk with Ed Easton. I went into more details on Esapole, kind of where he fits, what his best chance is at making the team. And then we also talked about Jaden Hicks and Jalen Watson. Jalen Watson obviously missed the greater part of last season coming back for the playoff run. Jaden Hicks saw time in every single playoff game as well last year. And the one thing Ed and I talked about was how Steve Spagnuolo and his, book of blitzes and different packages on how Jaden Hicks is going to be used this year. So really excited with that article coming out. But have we talked about Kyle Manzardo yet?
No, let's roll into baseball.
Well, Manzo, hey, he hit his 10th home run last night off a lefty again. So, we've been following, weekly updates on Cougs and the MLB with Ryan Walker and Ian Hamilton. And Manzardo is just killing the ball when he gets the opportunity to get in there. OPS over 800, 10 homers. He's leading the Guardians in RBI, which is a tough thing to do when Jose Ramirez is also playing every day and in your lineup. So should see the Guardians, hopefully fighting with the Tigers. The Tigers are kind of just running away right now. They're 29-15. I think really the biggest surprise in baseball so far has been the Tigers with their record. I mean, I just didn't see that offense doing the things that they're doing this year. Javi Baez is back. Apparently he's had two 3-run homers yesterday. So that's good to see. I've always liked Javi. But yeah, Manzo and this Guardians team, they've got a chance to do something in October again this year. And Connor, I think you have some updates on Ian Hamilton and Ryan Walker as we hope that Walker can kind of figure it out here soon. It's getting close to where Camilo Doval might be taking over that closing spot.
Yeah, just to add into it, Kyle Manzardo, as you mentioned, he leads the Guardians in home runs and RBIs. He has 10 home runs, 25 RBIs. He's tied for 14th in Major League Baseball right now in home runs. He's now at the double digits. The top guys in the league are at like 14 home runs right now. So he's right up there. He's got a 126 weighted runs created plus, meaning that his overall value at the plate is about 26% above the league average bat. And then if you're a Mariner fan, you saw the Yankees come into town the past few days, and you might not have noticed it, but Ian Hamilton actually logged 2 1/3 innings pitched in the games Monday and Wednesday in Seattle. He faced 7 batters. Not one of them saw first base. None of them, did anything. He was able to go 2 1/3 innings, 4 strikeouts. He got a win on Wednesday after he pitched, I believe, the 7th inning. Aaron Judge hit a home run into the bullpen to give the Yankees the lead, which would be the final score on the year.
It was a no-doubter.
Oh yeah, it was like 118 miles an hour off the bat. It was the second hardest hit home run of the season, just behind Shohei.
How funny is it to be a Mariners fan, you two, and you guys deal with this pitcher's park and the home runs, and Aaron Judge comes in here for 3 days and makes it look like a Mickey Mouse ballpark.
I mean, he did only hit 1 home run.
Why did they pitch to him? Why did they pitch to him? I just don't what are we doing? I'm not gonna. I don't know, but when I saw that, for the record, Judge did look pretty bad against all the off-speed stuff throughout the series. Matt Brash struck him out on like 3 or 4 pitches with those nasty sliders.
But yeah, Carlos Vargas comes in there and tries to pump a sinker by him, and he rockets that thing. I think it was like 15 feet off the ground, and it went like 440.
Had some great catches from Julio Rodriguez in this series, though. My goodness, out of the wazoo. Tough day for Dylan. Laugh out loud. It sure was. So, Duke Domino, also a quick comment. Manzo did have a triple 2 days ago, so he's just Mr. Slug. It's either going to be an extra base hit, walk, or strikeout.
He just needs to start stealing some bags. Let's see if he can do that.
He had one last week. I got him in my category league. I'll tell you that. He's
Kyle Maniardo. Chicks dig the long ball.
That's a good team name.
Has that not been? I feel like I lifted that from a WSU baseball tweet. I don't think I came up with Kyle Maniardo.
That could be from the Manzo Monitor. If you guys have ever seen that account, shout out the Manzo Monitor doing God's work out, just following every single Kyle Manzardo hit, runner, RBI. So I don't think we have any other Cougs in the minor league system right now. I think maybe the next guy that you're hoping to get drafted is a Max Hartman type. Obviously, the big get for WSU baseball is we'll kind of segue into their final series here as they're in my neck of the woods. I'm going to go check out their game tonight and tomorrow night at San Diego State. And they come in needing some help to get into this Mountain West Conference tournament. And this is from Jamie Vinnick. It's officially crunch time for Washington State baseball. Right now, the two teams that are ahead of them are Air Force and San Jose State. So those are the two schools that we have to leapfrog, one of the two. And essentially right here, the Falcons, Air Force is on the road. They'll have 3 games at UNLV, while WSU gets a bone with San Jose State facing Nevada, who is easily the best team in the conference right now, baseball-wise. So essentially, they're a game back, but will hold the tiebreaker over San Jose State. They're a game back as well of Air Force, but Air Force has a tiebreaker. So essentially, Air Force has a 2-game lead. So basically, if San Jose State loses all 3 this week to Nevada, WSU just needs to win 1 out of 3 at SDSU. SDSU is the worst team in the conference. I believe WSU took 2 out of 3 from them up in Pullman. So, if San Jose State wins 1, you got to win 2. If they win 2, you got to win 3. So it's going to be interesting to see how tonight kicks off across the Mountain West Conference with WSU. Obviously, you're going to expect Nick Lewis and Griffin Myers to get the ball first Thursday and Friday.
They actually took all 3 in Pullman against San Diego State this year. So they got, as you mentioned, 3 at San Diego State heading into the championships. And then we got a comment from
Connor,
Duke
what's
Domino.
the road record?
Yeah, I'll get to that in just a second. But Duke Domino states that Dakota Hawkins and Sam Brown are actually in AA currently. They're WSU alums. So those are a couple other names we'll have to start tracking. Appreciate that, Duke. But looking at WSU baseball's overall schedule, they're 18-33 overall, 11-16 in the conference, 12-9 at home, 3-20 on the road. 3-20 on the road. You
got to get 2 on the road this week. And really, I hate to be this guy, but Nathan Choate, I really believe if he does not make this conference tournament, might be looking for a job elsewhere. You just kind of see the replies on social media, this and that, how folks are feeling about the program. You hope that they can go down there and get themselves a spot in this postseason tournament because, quite honestly, the talent for this roster should have been head and shoulders above 3 or 4 schools in the Mountain West. Granted, you lose a Brock Blatter to a UCL tear earlier, before the season started, and he's supposed to be kind of your number 1 guy. But they're gonna have to dig deep. You're gonna have to figure out when the best opportunity is to go out and get a dub because Rylan Hayter really is your only relief arm that you're trusting to go out there in a 1-run, 2-run game and close it out. So it's gonna be interesting to see what his workload looks like this weekend if he can get in on a Thursday and a Saturday.
And as you mentioned, the guy that we're going to be looking for to get drafted is Max Hartman. He's batting .361 and .948 OPS. He has 4 home runs, 9 doubles. He's got, how many bags does he have? I don't see bags here. But also another guy, Logan Johnstone. What year is Logan Johnstone?
I believe he's either a junior or senior.
Yeah, he's going off. He's got a .342 average. He's OPSing above 1,000. He's got 9 home runs. He's got 16 doubles. He's an extra base machine. He's got nearly 30 more total bases than Max Hartman, and this guy's a junior. So Logan Johnson.
Yeah, and Max Hartman was out for 3 weeks with an ankle injury as well. So, Johnstone really came on strong during that portion of the season where Hartman was out. And I think he's 5 for 11. Hartman is since coming back from injury. So you expect to have a full roster going into this last weekend down here in SDSU. So I'm going to bring the whole my whole Sunday league squad to the Friday night game. So we're looking forward to it. But yeah, Cresswell might get a shot somewhere. Yeah, he's a good defensive catcher, a guy that was, relied upon this year. And as Duke says here, the manager pitching coach thing hasn't worked out. We need a designated pitching coach, as the head man does handle the pitching coach duties. So, we're not going to hear, we're not here with, our pitchforks and our fire with Coach Choate, but, got to make this postseason tournament.
And just to this comment, hey, I've been the pitching coach for a local 13U baseball team, so I'm going to slide my resume to Washington State, see if I can maybe help on the pitching side with them. We'll see.
Give our guy a call. Come on, Bobby. Give him a call.
Hey, if we're shouting out plugs, Bobby, folks, you guys need a field to practice on down here. Come on down to Canyon Hills. JV coach right here. We just took our Canyon Hills program. We came in last year. They're 4-14-1. They lost their last 9 games of the season. 0-8 in league play. This year we flipped the script. We went 13-7, 6-0 in league. So it was good to see a young group of kids kind of figure it out, take some licks year one, and have a bit of a fun program. Couple fun years ahead of us with just a really young group of kids. We had 2 seniors on our varsity team this past year. So looking forward to it. Hey, give back to your communities however you can. Coach this, that, it's fun,
Absolutely. Well, yeah. Thanks, guys, for hopping on. We'll save the last segment for another week. I got to head out of here. But
yes.
Thank you both
another week.
Thank you both for jumping on. Thank you all for listening and for tuning in. If you're not already, make sure to tune in Thursdays, 9:00. Come comment, come hang out on YouTube. And then the full audio version is going to be live across podcast platforms after the fact. So with that, make sure to go check out CougFan.com, subscribe to their premium membership, subscribe to the Couch GM, go follow Dylan, go follow Jackson, and we'll see you in the next one. Go Cougs.
Keep your eyes out for WSU men's basketball.
Option. Pitch. Didn't get it. They stuffed him. Formation in the Apple Cup takes a knee. The clock will do the rest.